rivalry? Destiny, yeah. They're enemies, aren't they? And I got stuck in traffic one night. It was in Hanville. The game was being played in Hanville that year, and didn't dawn on me why we were backed up in traffic on Highway 90 for a half an hour. Oh, I didn't pay attention. And oftentimes, small towns are like that. They have these heated rivalries for one reason or another, or one town doesn't think the other town is any good, and the other town doesn't think that town is any good. So Nathaniel says, well, what good can come out of Nazareth? It's just this little 2-bit town. He's like you and I. He's the glass is half empty person. And so Jesus knows his heart. And that's what the reading before point to, because God knows our heart. God knows what we think. God formed us in his image and likeness. And so God knows also the heart of Nathaniel and how Nathaniel is being resisted. At first mention of Philip saying, come and see. You see, here's the invitation. Come and see. And that's what I want to talk about this morning. An invitation. Now, I want to test your memory. I have said this, I don't know how many times. 2, 3, 4, 6. I don't know how many times I've said this story. It goes back to my parents. When they when they were married in 1948, and they bought their house right after World War II, and they moved into the neighborhood. Here's the question here's the trick question for you this morning. How did they end up going to the church that they went to, the one that I was baptized in? See, someone was paying attention. The neighbor from around the corner invited them. Invited them to come to church. An invitation. Come and see. And here's what we do every day, in one form or another. Here's what advertising is all about. I brought it with me. My Droid, right? iPhone people would say, well, it's not as good as an iPhone. Advertising asks us, come and see. Ours is the best. Isn't that the substance of all advertising? Whether it is a car, it's not really a phone, it's a mobile device, because it does everything and more than we need it to do these days. But the substance of all advertising is come and see. That's all it is. And when we go there, we look and we find. I don't like going into malls because, but I notice this, especially in the anchor stores, like any large store like Dillard's or JCPenney, one of the Macy's. Once you get in the store, it's hard to find a door to get out. You can be 30 feet in the door and you can't see it anymore because they've got it so camouflaged. Somebody did a lot of research about getting people in. Come and see. And they don't tell you how to get out. So I want you to think this morning about your faith life in St. Paul's church. What is it that keeps you coming here? What little seed of faith keeps you coming here every Sunday? I was going to say every day. Think about that for a moment. It can be way back from when you were a child. A seed was planted. It can be during your teenage years or young adult years or any time. But something in your heart keeps you coming here rather than someplace else. And even for those folks who have gone someplace else, either a move or whatever, they still come to a church. So what I'm getting at is, the thing that we need to key on is that one thing in our heart, and it's simply the love of Christ. And I'll give you the answer. That's what it is. Somewhere deep down, there is Christ at work in us, keeping our faith alive, keeping our hope alive for something better down the road. The challenge for us, and we're all guilty of it, because we don't like to evangelize. We don't like to give an invitation. So what stops us from inviting family members, friends, co-workers? Come and see what my church is like. What stops us? I'm not going to answer that question, because that's a question for us all to wrestle with, regardless of what church we attend. This is one of the universal messages of the gospel. It is our duty, though, to do that. When we find a good restaurant, when there's a good sale, don't we call up our friends and co-workers and say, hey, let me ask you this. Here's a direct question. How many have been to Cowbell? Cowbell. Not too many. It's hidden. It's a restaurant. It looks like it used to be a gas station at the corner of Leak Ave and Oak. It's this little funky. It was a gas station at one time, but if you want a good burger, go there. See? There's the invitation right there. Go to Cowbell. On my recommendation. I may be in trouble from one of you next week or the next couple of weeks, but it's that simple. It's that simple. How much in our lives do we depend on a personal recommendation from someone we trust, someone we know, someone we love? How do people get jobs? Oftentimes it's a personal recommendation. Oh, I know so-and-so. He's a good worker. Hire him. Oh, go to Cowbell. It's a good burger place. Oh, go to JCPenney this week. They've got a sale on... We do it all the time. But what we don't do is what is happening in the gospel reading this morning between Philip and Nathanael. Philip is all excited about what is happening. He has found the one thing in life that can bring him hope, can bring him peace, can bring him love, can satisfy all the longings of his heart, the Messiah. He has finally found the one that they were waiting for. And so what does he do? He runs to tell his buddy Nathanael. Nathanael is doubtful until Nathanael has an interaction with Jesus. And the rest of the story is that Nathanael recognizes, and you notice how the writer of the Gospel, I'm going to go back and read it again, the writer of the Gospels, here's what Nathanael says. Rabbi, you are the Son of God, you are the King of Israel. He recognizes in that span, again, we get the condensed version, but whatever took place between Nathanael and Jesus, Nathanael gets it. All his biases and prejudices are put aside about the people of Nazareth. Yes, something wonderful can come out of Nazareth. The King of Israel, the Son of God, Rabbi, Jesus the Christ. You see, one of the problems I think that we have with religion, and I think one of the problems that we have as individuals within our denomination is it's not inbred in us, even though this church has its origins in the evangelical church. We're not really evangelical people. We have to be trained to invite people